$1 million and a magic wand to help families who have a child with autism, what would you do?
Oh, welcome.
This is the place where we help parents live a happy, healthy life with their kids. We're going to show you how to connect with your child and help them even in their most difficult moments as we hear from experts in the field. I'm your host, Dr. Karin Jakubowski, an international speaker, public school principal, and former struggling student. The Momnificent podcast equips parents with science-based strategies to help you live a happy, healthy life with your kids. Welcome. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me on the Momnificent podcast this evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, and there's a picture here. I was having a bunch of camera issues, but I think it almost took like almost 10 minutes. Usually a first for me, but maybe just getting used to all the recent changes I've had the last several months. But I'm still kicking, so
It's
can't really
okay.
complain. Autism.
I love it. And you totally segued because I was going to tell our listeners that you are going to be the upcoming keynote speaker at the annual Autism Connections Conference at the end of April in Massachusetts. Ooh, ooh, so excited for you.
Yep, my first ever keynote.
Oh
First
my
keynote. I originally was
gosh.
going to go through one of my prior organizations, but I was able to kind of switch it to just myself. A lot of
Love it.
changes. I think it's like that late 20 changes that kind of occurs. And I guess it just happened to me at that. And they were really thankful that they were really patient with all the changes that kind of came up. And they've
Oh,
still been
cool.
really good to me. So I look forward to it.
Well,
And my
that is
current job has been really excited about it. So it kind of
good.
working out. So I look forward to that. That's probably gonna be the highlight of my April, especially um if April and the whole like autism month.
Yes.
Whoever you want to go by acceptance and awareness.
Awareness.
There it goes. Almost missed that A.
I
It's
know
up to
they
you,
keep
the
changing the
users on
name.
that one. So, or you're gonna do both. That's fine. Too. But there's usually like that month gets really busy for autism work. So events, resource fairs, speakers, and then conferences like that one in Massachusetts. So I look forward to that, and I'm treating myself afterwards to a New Hampshire drive to a video game museum because I want to.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Well, you will definitely deserve it. That'll be an
It's about
awesome
yeah
way.
3 hours, and last year I went to Watertown, Massachusetts for a John Taffer restaurant. My best drive I've ever done. So I'm hoping New Hampshire will be able to top it, and I'm just waiting until it gets warmer out.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, I'm so excited and fortunate to have you here with me tonight because I've got parents and teachers and students questions for you to help us navigate this whole entire area. And so I'm going to jump right into it because I love what one of the parents said about that Autism Connections conference real fast. I love her quote. She said, "It really doesn't matter where your loved one with autism is on the spectrum, because the journey is different for everyone. What I know for sure is I need support and community around every corner, and this conference gives me both." I just love that. So, Andrew, maybe
Absolutely.
you can start. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement. And again, like they've been doing a lot of good work, and I actually almost applied for that, even for they were in Massachusetts and I'm in Connecticut. Would be like a probably bit longer drive than intended, but I'm still keeping tabs on them. And because of me and networking, it's
Oh,
like you have
good.
to. And I'm absolutely in agreement.
Yeah.
And then just a little disclaimer, if you don't mind me disclaiming, I'm only be
Yeah.
speaking from my own experiences, so I won't be speaking on anyone else's because that's not how autism works. And no, I don't think there's a lot of people that would do what I do with these type of drives and actually go that far without the turnpike, mind you. I kind of do it my style, how I want driving to be, so I don't go on the mass turnpike, which is a nightmare for a lot of people. So yeah, so
Love
that's
that.
kind of an example of how other autistics, they might, who knows, but I don't want to
Right.
speak
Yeah.
over everyone, especially that.
Everyone's
And
individual,
yeah, just a little
right?
disclaimer, and you can go on the questions now. I just wanted to
Yeah.
hear what parents and professionals, especially professionals, hear the disclaimer before you know some of the
Yeah.
weird
This
internet
is
stuff
your
can kick in.
perspective. Right. This is your
Exactly.
perspective, your personal experience. So maybe you can just start us off, our listeners off with when were you diagnosed? What were the signs? Was it the signs your parents saw or anybody else? And what was it like for you at that time? Did I lose
Okay,
you?
it broke off a
Oh, there you
little bit,
go.
but the best part is I still have the questions there, so I can probably take a look and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
When
when
I
were you
was diagnosed,
diagnosed?
I
What
was
were the
about
signs?
5.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I was down to around 5, so not the earliest. This was I was born in 93, so it was around the 98, 99, maybe even 2000s. You know, it's
Okay.
like that weird time where you have materials like Rayman, you also had you kind of emerging professionals like Steven Shore and Temple starting to kind of go in the scene and start doing their famous work of autism. So it's kind of like that time where not everyone knew, like people have a better idea of what autism was, or at least knew that autism wasn't like it was some of the negative stereotypes were starting to fall apart. And it still is a lot of work nowadays. So it's that 90s were just that odd time. And then signs, let's see. I think for one, I just had weird behaviors aside from a lot of speech impediments. And even today, I have to be careful what I say, especially where I work at a private autism school, and I'm always I don't want to kind of say something wrong and for a student to kind of take it in a different meaning. So some speech that still affects me currently, and
Mhm.
then other signs. The other weird behaviors is for some reason, and this is all from my dad's side. Memories of the more earlier stuff is kind of a lot more vague, or at least kind of like a crowd. But there were times where I have sugar packets under restaurant tables. Don't ask me why I did that, but I do kind of joke about it. I do kind of joke about it in some settings.
And was it your parents that noticed the most of the signs to then what did they do with it? Or was it like teachers telling your parents like hey, we're noticing this and it's here's what's typical and what we're noticing, or who kind of was the ones who observed it the most, and then who did they take the information to?
I'm probably imagine a mix of both, and then my dad probably mostly just dad probably just kind of noticed and kind of went to, I assume, probably doctors, kind of like those like medical centers, and then the schools. I switch
Yeah.
schools on and off. I was mostly in a public setting along with some special education rooms
Yeah.
in the mix for majority of the grade school period, including a post secondary school as too. So it's probably like a mix of both. I think I still have some of the early dinosaur papers, which I haven't really looked at too much, but I've read the most recent on my end. Just happened to find. I was like, no, what? Sure, why not?
Wow. Okay. So you were diagnosed at 5 years old, or around 5 years old is when they started kind of noticing these different behaviors, right? And I know the next question, this is going to be personal to you because I know you can't speak on behalf of all
Oh yeah,
kids, but
absolutely.
what would you say for yourself are the top three truths you as a kid with autism wished people knew?
I almost want to say the first truth is just kind of how everyone's different. That honestly, I know that's probably more of a recent truth, but still technically a truth, to be honest. Like everyone's like really different. Like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of really
And
different,
don't
different like experiences.
and don't just like put everybody in the same bucket.
Yeah.
Like what do they say when you meet one student with autism, you
Yep.
met one
Famous
individual with
one.
autism,
Famous one
right?
from Stephen Shore, and still true to this day. And then the second, and I then again trying not to speak over an entire population, and it can be quite tough. But I guess the second truth is just, oh, I think I gotta go on without me trying to generalize. It's just kind of truth is just being like encouraging, like of like it's okay to find like several different tools that can help people. All right,
Okay.
different like strategies of how like one can connect to like an autistic person, and there's a lot of numerous ways. And even at the jobs I kind of been, like I kind of discovered those nuances when I work directly with people. I kind of find ways I can end up connecting with them. And there's more than one way. There's no one fixed way because again, that's not how autism works. There's a book and movie I love that I absolutely love for autism books, and I've looked at the best autism books there, and it's kind of underrated. Life Animated. It's the one where
Life
this
animated?
yes, Life
Okay.
Animated is about a kid during when he was young, lost his voice, and the one way his family and brother can connect with him was watching Disney movies. And as they watched all these Disney movies, they found out that he was literally scripting Disney movies, like being learned how to talk again through Disney, like almost like Disney scripting. And
Wow.
can we gain speech that way? It sounds unlikely, but it's a book, it's a movie, and the author I can mention the author, Ron Teskine. He's
Okay.
still active in the autism scene. I think he's speaking at a few different panels this year, so he's still active in the scene. But I
Wow.
recommend that. So it's like that's kind of an example of a different strategy where just those Disney movies just happen to be able to kind of help someone. And I
It's
think as of right now,
incredible.
this kind of spread actually around. And again, it's a book and a movie where his name is Owen. He literally went to the Disney Studios and he got to meet like the voice actors of some of the movies
Oh
like
my gosh.
Aladdin's Jafar, for example. And
Wow.
also the parrot, Iago, the parrot too from the same movie. And
Yeah.
that actually has a comedy. I think it has a Comedy Central. No, like maybe not Comedy Central, but some sort of Saturday Night Live. Where and this person is really good with kind of how really good at the voice acting. Like almost sounds exact. Like it's kind of a little eerie, but it's
Like
really good stuff.
freaky, right, yeah.
But yeah, so
And
like embracing like different strategies because they would have
I
not
love
found out
that.
if they didn't tap into the whole Disney movies. And I guess a third one before I start lumbering on. And do you want me to consider want me to go into the teen side or you just want the kid side?
Yeah, no, go for it. Put the teen
Because it
side
is
in
above the
there.
lifespan and I almost have ideas on the kid side. I specialize a lot more in teenagers and young adults, so
Yeah,
that could be
yeah,
my
no,
own
tell me a
work
teen one.
bias.
Yeah, no,
Is
no, I love
this
it.
is more employment wise is I guess one troops and this is rather and again trying not to generalize, but not everyone is tech savvy because you see a lot of the various programs which do good work, mind you. Like there's Google,
Right.
there's Microsoft, and a bunch of other organizations that are jumping in as well. The only thing is, some places can be very tech heavy, and there's like a don't want to say it's a stereotype, but you see these similar things of how people are good with numbers or good with
Mhm.
technology or IT and this and that, and then reality, everyone just has different job passions or at least passions that could connect to a job setting.
So don't
Like,
assume that
yeah, because stereotypes and that kind of make it awkward
they're
for
all
someone else that's like
techie.
trying to do something different. Let's say I'm trying to think of something. Maybe like a I guess a
Yeah,
I can't even speak to a train conductor. Try not to use my own, but I guess I
yeah,
could use my own
yeah,
experience because I wanted to kind of specialize in kind of disability or like transition to like adulthood, like around that age group. And I have
yeah.
no clue. I had no clue how it was looked like because again, joining a job field that requires socialization seems almost like an oxymoron. And the more I got into the field, man, because I was majoring that as an associate's degree, which was called disability specialist, I found out I wasn't the only one, and it kind of made us, and it also kind of made me realize that I didn't really have to believe in that stereotype. And
That's really awesome.
honestly, it's kind
That's
of
like
kind of a bunch of choice words I can't say here.
and that was, like, really
And I
freeing,
just let
right?
your imagination fill in the gaps on the word I can't say here. So I let all of you parents and professionals have fun with that one.
So you it was just freeing for you, wasn't it? That you
Yep,
didn't have
and
to, like, think like you had to be like everybody else thought it should be.
something like that. Just something that it just by this point I already made enough commitment and I can't really back down. So,
That's really
and I
awesome.
don't have to be in the. I guess probably cliche. I don't have to be in the box. So,
Yeah, right? No one likes to be in the box. So here's one, Andrew. One parent asked, "What does it feel like to have autism?" If you could describe that. What would you help us understand what a child or maybe a teen is feeling?
tough one because it's different for everyone else, and it could also be a
Oh
human
yeah.
experience. But autism can be a lot of things. Like it has. I gotta go by characteristics. I know some people do function labels. Not everyone likes that, and other people use level supports. I tend to use that.
Okay.
And I guess at times I kind of just like it is a part of me. I just kind of value other stuff. Like I kind of look at the whole
Yes. Well, go ahead. I think you cut out. Oh, wait a second. You're good.
human experiencing autism. The neurodiversity of movement. While that movement, there's a lot more nuances to that. But I guess
I
that while there's the communication errors that kind of makes it harder to kind of grasp certain concepts. I guess
yeah.
that also just comes in with all just the basic human experience. Just trying to find out where in the world do you fit in? Like where in the world? What is the next steps? And I've been thinking a lot about that since I have all the job changes. I now work at a private autism school,
That's
and
so
that
cool.
kind of made me assess. That kind of made me kind of assess a lot more what I do, especially I'm like halfway in my bachelor's, so it's kind of pretty important that I have to make my money worth it.
Wow. I bet
Hopefully
those
that answers
kids
it, but it can be rough because autism is a part of me, for good reason. But I kind
right.
of look at other aspects of myself that I'm kind of like, okay, it's high up, like working for that is part of the autism field, so that technically could be. Some people could argue But I am a workaholic in nature, and I kind of more of that. And then also second would be driving. Would be driving. I guess enjoy kind of getting see just range to just be able to move around to places.
So cool. Yeah, I love
So
that.
hopefully it makes sense and something I'm still kind of thinking about on and off.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, it could also be human experience, but I want to be careful because autism can be so many things to people. There's a reason there's so many different organizations out there,
It
for better
can.
or worse, or just people just trying to figure out where they are in the world. So there's that too.
Right. And
But
then
this
they
is
bring
probably
their
becoming very
experience.
philosophical. So
No, this is really good. This is good. So here's another one. What's one thing you would say to a parent to help them better support their child with autism? Maybe something that you wish your parents had done, or something your parents did really well in supporting you that could encourage a parent listening.
tough one again. I don't want to generalize, and in the way that how some could word that, it could sound like that. So let's
So
see.
what was something your parents did for you that you felt was like really helpful?
I guess the main thing, just kind of give me a chance. Driving. I know I'm probably going back and forth for driving because I did a lot actually sort of driving. For nowadays, I'm kind of looking back into the special ed side.
Okay.
Thinking about that while I'm kind of exploring my options again as of recently. Just like my dad gave me a chance for driving, and he was pretty, very anxious still, pretty anxious still. Eventually, it got a lot better. He might have not say something about me going to those sort of trips, but I leave it up to him because I've been driving for almost 5 years, which are kind of crazy itself too. But I guess another thing is I guess another couple things I will also say to parents is I
Mm.
guess use whatever I guess their language preferences you want, or let's say if you're let's say if a parent has someone who is like there are those different terms, and please anyone else that's listening to this, don't murder me on the spot because of language preferences, like someone that may not speak or may use a different communication device. Just use whatever language preferences that, and don't try to stress from what other people are telling you what to do, if that makes sense. Because I see this a
That's
lot
a really
where
good point.
the person first language and the identity first debates, which is honestly kind of depressing looking at that, because it has the most simplest answer. It's just going by
Mm.
initial preference. Like for me, I kind of don't care either way because I see all these other things like, employment or transition to adulthood where I kind of put a lot more value to that. And I guess in a
Right.
way, the
Yeah.
Vegas preferences still has its place, but it's like it shouldn't have to be the most important thing. So
Mm.
I would tell parents again, your kids or teens a lot better when other people online,
Yeah.
especially again your parents. So I guess like try not to stress a lot from what other people are telling you what to do online, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Hopefully
Almost
not
like just
witness, and hopefully not anyone having pitchforks at me because I know how feisty the community can be. So I've seen
but
it
you
for over
can you
years.
can
So,
you can follow your intuition. And like you said, you know your kid
but
and
please don't stress about language preferences. Like again, you're doing as much as you can, and probably the last thing most people would need is worry about something that's maybe for superficial, but again, it's really person by person. So
so from your experience, what are two things you shouldn't say to someone with autism that maybe
hmm,
we may or may not know? As teachers, we may or may not know. As a parent or a sibling or someone we know of someone with autism, what are two things you're like, this is helpful if you don't say this? Is there anything you could help guide us,
okay, I
or
think
something
I've
that
heard that,
bothered
but
you?
luckily I can go based by the question, so I'm very thankful that you sent the questions ahead of time. But first, two things are saying, and again, trying not to generalize as much as I can.
Yeah. Was there
I guess
something people said that bothered you growing up, or things you wish they didn't say, or
I
maybe
guess two
something that,
just two things. I guess one is I guess one thing, and I don't want to blame the person who did my evaluation, but I take a little offense to the whole like it was kind of like a work assessment. Again, don't want to pour any like fingers, but it was kind of the way it worded. And, some reports can be ambiguous at times,
yes.
and like said for the work for me to do. It was for like a work assessment of like a job like placement. Like
Okay.
work being like unskilled, but the way they said it made it sound like not as worthy. Again, it's years ago,
Oh,
and it's been years since I've looked at it. I
mm,
imagine like seeing that at age 21 is a little,
yeah.
little, little yikes.
Didn't feel so good.
I know the psychologist was fine because I did interview him years ago, just because, just
Oh, wow.
uh, for the heck of it, and I was bored and wanted to use a bus somewhere before I started driving. So
All
yeah,
right.
so I guess again, probably just word, probably again go with positive negatives. Don't ignore the negatives because again, people grow from that, and also keeps if you go by the professional angle, let the professionals know what to
Mhm.
look at,
Yeah.
and again, hopefully, no one takes any one ideas from that. And I guess the
Mm.
second thing is just I guess like don't try. I guess like don't try something in reality, most of the things that can get you to the next step is just trying something, just kind of going ahead and doing that. That's
That's
kind
a
of
good
how I
point.
did. That's how I did the Watertown Mass thing. It did took several months of me looking at routes because I knew. Again, I know it's a more of a young adult example, maybe not like a kid example,
Yeah,
but I
but
kind
no,
of
that's
looked. I
good.
kind of looked. I kind of looked at. Okay, is can I do this without tolls? Because I'm not a tolls person. I'm too lazy to get e-pass, and I just don't want it. I'm not like dealing with that for the time being.
Yeah.
So I knew that. Okay, what highways can I use? Am I able to use this? Now I play around with Google Maps. Can I do this without taking breaks? Or what kind of music do I listen to? I listen to a mix of video game music, kind of
Okay.
musicals. Like I've listened to a couple of musicals, Sweeney Todd being one of them. The classic Sweeney Todd, the one in the late 70s with Mrs. Potts being Mrs. Love. It's an amazing musical and still
So
a good drive. I was able to look up an
cool.
old recording of said musical, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually listenable. I could actually listen to this while driving.
I
Let's go."
love listening to good music when I drive. I love that.
Excluding the bell in the musical Sweeney Todd, that's kind of like a bell that's not the best sensory wise,
We should
but
take that one out.
but if once you know that, you could kind of just maybe mute or at least kind of turn off the volume a little bit, and then afterwards you can turn back on.
Okay,
So
that's
I
good
kind
to
of
know.
knew the tools for me to use,
Okay,
and
okay.
after that, and
Yeah,
also
that's
I'm a
important.
coffee person, so I have like a grab a coffee like
Ooh,
before and after the trip.
yes.
Believe me, I
Yes.
do. I'm a huge iced coffee drinker, so
I'm
that's
totally
for
ooh,
those type of
ice
trips, it's like a must.
I can totally picture it now. Okay, Andrew, I'm gonna jump into the next question. Is that all right?
Oh yeah,
So,
sure.
if
Hmm.
you could go back in time, what's one thing you wish your teachers or the kids at school knew or understood about you? How about that question? Maybe there was something from
Yeah,
your
sure.
experience growing up that you would change if you could with helping us better understand and communicate with the students around us or kids with autism.
I guess I'm gonna go by the teacher example, and on most part, my teachers were fine when I was kind of growing up.
That's awesome.
I guess the one maybe going by elementary. I guess
Yeah.
I kind of I'm trying to think of a good example. My memories are kind of vague
Yeah.
in the grade school. Hmm.
Oh,
Trying
here,
to word
say
it.
that
Kind of
again.
wish they
Say
kind of
that
wish.
again. I think it cut out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. What was it? I think I missed your statement.
I guess I kind of wished, I guess both teachers and kids just kind of, I think, kind of maybe tolerated the speech a bit more. I think I was made fun for speech several times.
Mhm.
It's been a long time, and maybe I'm confusing it with something else.
Yeah.
And I did have habits where I was kind of in extended Disney movies for a while, a lot more when intended, so that might be a factor. It's been a long
Yeah.
time, so bear with
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
If
No,
you want me
that's
to use the
good. I
most recent
appreciate.
example, I kind of wish the internet was more understanding of me.
In what way?
Of not kind of cutting out every now and then. It's also kind of a joke.
Because of
You
the
know,
Wi-Fi?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little
I know.
annoying during
You're
this time,
good.
but luckily it's still
We're
okay.
doing
I just
good.
wanted to
We're
throw in a
making it
joke.
through. Yeah, we're making it through. What are we gonna do? Technology, sometimes it's our
Yeah.
friend, sometimes it's not.
Mhm.
We just got to make the best of it.
But
And I
that was
know our
all.
audience totally understands because we've all been in that
Hmm.
situation. All right, here I just have two more. Here, an
Okay, no
autism
problem.
teacher, okay, asked me, what is something that your childhood self would tell your adult self today? Something you wish you had learned or been exposed to as a child with autism.
That's a good one. I believe my child self would be shocked at what I'd be doing because back then I'd be like
That's
Pokemon, Nintendo video
right.
games, the
Yeah.
case and the movies, and they look at everything I do. And one thing you could look at on LinkedIn, you kind of see like a history. I'm not sure, be quite shocked. They'd be like, "How did you do this?
It's
Like,
awesome.
what changed?"
That is awesome. I love it.
That's probably the
See,
best way
you totally broke through
because
any
I was
boundaries.
like quiet. Like I had some friends back in the middle school or high school,
Yeah.
and not that many of us, I guess, employment direction, and then went from that to doing all of this, and then even right now, despite kind of job change that occurred last year, like I'm kind of looking at what I can do if I'm still okay with the psychology degree I'm after for bachelor's. So kind of figuring out my options and just kind of
That is awesome.
assuming public speaking while I don't have my previous identities nowadays.
Okay. And so where do you get your strong work ethic from? You said you were a workaholic. Who do you get that from?
A lot of different resources on stories and video games. Just bear with me. There's some really interesting stories that kind of go after the gray side. Knowing some friends of mine, there will probably be maybe like snickering or laughing. They probably know me that well on that, so I'm gonna hold off there. And I do mention a couple that I've always mentioned, and most recently, that's probably what I've been watching through the pandemic is John Taffer's Bar Rescue. Reality TV, bear with me, but believe it or not, in my outreaching, when I reach out to people, I bring up Bar Rescue. It works like all the time. It just
Okay.
people can
Well,
relate to that.
I don't think it's fair that you work so much, and as much as I work, I don't take time to watch a lot of videos and TV. And anyway, I'm always behind the eight ball when people are like, "Did you see such and such?" And I'm like, "No," because
Not,
I spend my time
I guess
putting
a good thing with
podcasts
Bar
together like
Rescue.
this with you.
I guess the good things with
But that's good.
like that show, and then also go romantic. Like you could learn a bunch, even for it's reality
Oh,
TV. You could take in a bunch of things, fund those shows, Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, and then obviously Bar Rescue. Scripted at times, but it's
yeah.
like you could still take the lessons. Like you could kind of see the lessons, and when you like look at the actual personalities with Ramsey and Taffer, it's like
Yeah.
you kind of pick up on a lot of things. They also have some really good books, and one book I absolutely love from John Tuffer, but I can't say the title because it has a few choice words again I
Sexual
can't say
words.
here. Just search up just search up a John
Okay,
Tuffer book and you'll
we
be
will check.
fine. There.
We'll leave it there. We got the author name. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's a last really fun question. I'm not sure if I added this after I sent it to you. If you were given $1 million and a magic wand to help families who have a child with autism, what would you do?
Oh, there could be a lot of different ways.
Just
A
name
lot
a
of different
couple.
ways you can
The
go with
top
this.
ones off your head. No right or wrong answer. It's just a fun question.
I guess kind of a I guess like a transportation like business that keeps going and offers like different choices. With one's worrying about buses, driving because I did want a driving program for a year. A lot of some mixed success and some things I could have done better. I kind
Like
of wouldn't mind having a more successful version of that, but kind of more transportation in general.
so maybe you would provide like options. So if you don't like to fly, you can take the train. If you don't like the train, you could take the car. Like
Oh,
that
kind of
kind of a
like
thing?
readiness, so kind of like readiness skills. You know, like
Readiness skills. Yes, like you would
'cause
provide like every
I tried that
yeah.
on the market for the driving side. It wasn't not really ready, or it was going
Oh,
at a different port, and then job
okay.
changes came by, so that program's currently on hold. So I'm just kind of taking a little step back. I'm still talking about driving in my keynote speaking, and I'm
That's
still
awesome.
always up for going over my driving experiences. So it's not in the side. It's not in the closet. It's just kind of more sidelines while I'm kind of looking at my general direction. Because I've
Well,
already made a reputation with me in driving. LinkedIn, you could probably search me up and you know it's a bunch of driving materials I worked on. So
so
can't really run from
Andrew,
that.
and so now how can someone find and follow you? Where should they go?
It's still currently in development. I'm designing a public speaking like website because I want people to be able to find me and kind of set up times where I could go directly to them, New
Yes.
England wise, because I know it might be a bit hard for someone from California to reach out to me and have me go over there, which seems unrealistic unless webinars. That's one thing entirely. So that website's still in development, and
Okay.
but the main website is to go on my LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn page. It's public. I've always tried to
Awesome.
post a lot of various different like work I do or this posts I generally really like. I like the similar content I talked about here, not
Yeah.
so much the bar rescue, unfortunately not that. Unfortunately not that,
Yeah.
but kind of more autism and disability Pacific. Or just resources I end up finding. I
Well,
still see a lot even after job changes and all.
yeah. So is
And I
there
can
any
provide the link over to you as well in case any
yeah,
listeners want to have it too. But anyway, sorry
perfect.
interrupting. Go ahead.
No, and then I can put it in the description notes of this show. So wherever you're listening, it should be below this episode. And Andrew, what's the last thing you would like to leave our listeners with today?
Definitely, keep doing good work, and I guess the best way, again, trying not to generalize again. I know I've been saying this a lot, but I really don't want to speak over anyone. Is start thinking early. Start thinking a little early of what I guess your kid wants to do, or when said kid goes to like age 21, like get a head start because for a majority of states, the special ed services they do kind of end at that graduation age. So if you're able to look at stuff early or connect it with your state's autism resources, like it's probably like it'll put you in a better position. And
Okay.
also that's why to be able to kind of plan ahead. Because I
Very
don't
good.
think I have to don't think I have to mention, the struggles or the kind of the cliff as they call it. But I haven't really said it that way in a long time. But like those transition troubles that come up that luckily the last few years people have been catching on to that. So if you're able to kind of
Yeah.
get a lot of the financial planning and all that set up or the life skills after high school, you'll be in a better spot.
That's a really good point. Well, Andrew, I wish you all the best in all your studies. The school that you're in is so fortunate to have you. And thank you so much for just taking the time to share with the listeners on this episode live with us tonight and anybody listening after. Thank you.
You're welcome. Always happy to show up and still kind of like don't want to show up to various podcasts and will definitely and intend to kind of show up for a lot more. And again, I'm hoping to have my website come up at some point. I don't want to give out a date because I want to kind of end up breaking something, but eventually, in at some
And
point in this
you,
first half of the year, will be something where I can post and it'd be like a like the like one of those like autism advocate pages, but
yeah,
kind
that'd be
of
awesome.
in my own style. So expect a different
Oh,
post. I'm always trying to be gray minded as possible, despite the my tendencies I do have every now and then.
well, I can't wait to see it. I know it's going to be awesome. Well, thanks again,
Thank you.
Andrew.
Well, that's all we've got for this episode of the Momnificent Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be honored if you would subscribe and rate if you really liked it. I know wherever you're listening right now, it might not be the best time to leave a comment, but feel free to leave a question, a review, or a comment at any time. And until next time, remember, don't worry, be happy.